Hello and welcome to today's very special episode of the Runna Podcast, and I'm very excitingly joined by Dom, one of my very best friends and the also co-founder of Runna and the real genius behind everything that happens here in Runnerland. And we have our very special guest, Mike, the CEO of Strava, who is going to join us later on to talk through why Strava went on to buy the Runner business and what we can go on to do together in terms of making the world a happier and healthier place for runners and everyone beyond that as well. But before we dive into it, Dom is different to anyone else we've had on the podcast that he's actually been on before. So if you want to learn a bit more about Runner's earliest time, please listen to episode 3 of the Runner Podcast, where we have a full journey on Dom and what got Runner started. But for those who haven't listened to that, Dom, how did we end up starting this crazy roller coaster together?
Yeah, so I have a bit of a weird journey in terms of like how I ended up starting a startup with Ben, and I would say it kind of started like when I was growing up. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was younger. I didn't know much about entrepreneurship or startups and etc. I kind of knew that I wanted to do something and kind of make an impact in the world. Went to Southampton, which is where Ben and I met quite a while ago. I think nearly 8 years ago or something, I would say. So Ben and I met at university. I was doing electronic engineering, still didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. I did an internship and then basically was working at this kind of defense electronics company and didn't really enjoy it. And I was like, I don't really know what I want to do with my life, but I know that I don't enjoy this. And then actually, as it happened, slightly strange kind of story, but the CEO of this company actually walked past me, and then I kind of thought, I want to be that person. I don't want to be the person sat next to me. And I was like, how do I get to being this as quickly as I can do? So I Googled how to become a CEO, and I found this Forbes article, and it basically said that more people go to McKinsey, which is management consultancy, then go on to become CEOs than any other like company. And I thought, that's crazy, but then selected this word McKinsey, had never heard of it before, applied, got the job, and I was there for about 3.5 years in total. And then completely surprising that after that, my next job would be being the CEO of this amazing startup. So it's kind of crazy how all of those things ended up coming together. But it very much was the case that throughout that journey, like kind of over time, I got more and more into startups. I kind of realized over time that that's something I really, really wanted to do. I wanted to kind of own my own company at some point. I wanted to work on something that I was really passionate about and also would be doing good in the world. And that's kind of over time where we ended up coming up with the idea of Runner and first working on it.
I think one thing that Dom is very good at is saying he wants to do something and then doing it. And I think the two things you said were like your life goals when we were mates at uni was that you wanted to get the top honours in your electronic engineering degree and that you wanted to go on to be a Forbes 30 under 30, of which last year Dom and I did the second one together, and you did get your top honours in your electronic engineering. So I now have to keep pushing him to set some new ambitious goals because he will hit them. So we need some really ambitious ones for Runner. So if you've got any ideas, send them over to Dom. But attached to that journey as, I guess, someone who wants to be a CEO, where did like running come into the mix? What was your running journey?
Yeah, good question. So I think when I first, so Ben and I started running during lockdown, and I was kind of just getting into running. So I was really busy at work. I was back home, and then I kind of wanted to start getting into it and do a faster 5K. And I realized that I downloaded all of these apps that were out there. Nothing was any good. None of them could really help me. None of them would tell me what runs I wanted to do. None of them would adapt around my schedule, just basic things like I want to run on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, and I want to do my long run on Saturdays. And none of the apps did that. So then my alternative was then to ring up Ben, who's my old friend from university, and then had become a private running coach, and said, hey, I really want to get into running. Can you please help me with my running plans? And then Ben every single week would write me this Google document with pace targets and the distances and the sessions that you needed to do. And he would tailor that around, my running ability, my goal, my schedule, all of these kind of things. And it was absolutely amazing. I loved it. I followed every single session. I used to hit all my pace targets. I got so much quicker. I think I managed to do like a sub 19-minute 5K over that summer, and I started around like the 23-24 minute mark. So I made like massive improvement, and all in all, I just loved it. I loved seeing that progress. And then was very happy with that service and kind of continuing as it was. Obviously, I knew that it, wasn't accessible to everyone, and not everyone could experience the amazing kind of Ben service that I got to experience. And now we have consequentially a lot of people that get to experience that, which is amazing. But then I actually wanted to get into a job at Google, and that requires you to be able to code. So I was like, okay, I need to pick up coding again. I'd done a bit of it at university, and I thought I'd pick up Python, and then I was kind of getting into it a little bit. I was like, I need a project that I'm actually going to go towards, because I can't just like learn and do these kind of boring online courses. I want to like have a project that I want to work towards. I can then learn to code throughout that process. And I was kind of thinking around for ideas, and I kind of realized that, hey, actually, this guy I'm paying all this money to, he's setting me all of these workouts and setting me pace targets. I wonder if I can write some Python code that can basically generate a lot of that for me automatically. Got about 2 months into that and realized that, firstly, I knew absolutely nothing about running. And I didn't know anything about a workout and how to personalize plans and how to personalize runs based on who the user was or what they were going to be doing. And secondly, I knew nothing about marketing. I had no distribution channels, no way of kind of getting this out there. So then within a couple of months, I rang up Ben and I said, hey, I've got this crazy idea. I've actually been working on this Python code that can build automated running plans for people that's personalized amongst all of these different dimensions. And then within about 5 minutes, Ben was in.
I feel like it took me more than 5 minutes in my head, but something along those lines. I think it was a Monday evening 8 p.m. call where you needed some like running advice, and then not only was it the Monday evening call, it was then homework before the follow-up on the Thursday, which then became every night of the week for 9 months. Which is what we went on to launch as a business called the Run Buddy, which I'm sure there are some of our early customers hopefully still listening, but which is a very distant memory of what we have now in the Runner product. What did we launch as the Run Buddy?
Yeah, and I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, by the way, on the 5 minutes in. No, but Ben didn't take much convincing. I think in life, both as a people, where we need about half an hour to think through something absolute max, and then we're all in on the decision. But yeah, what we launched back in the day, so this is in March 2021, was basically a service that would you would go in. It was built on Squarespace actually, so this kind of quite relatively easy to use website tool, and you would go on. I was able to set up, and you would go on and say that you wanted either a 5K plan, a half marathon plan, or a marathon plan, and you could kind of select your plan, tell us what your running ability was, how many weeks you wanted to train. We didn't actually have that in the early days. What your running ability was, the days that you wanted to run, the days that you wanted to do your long run, and then an estimation of your 5K time. And then you would check out. So we would charge £20, so roughly $25, $30 per month. It was the equivalent of. And then after 15 minutes, we'd basically email you your PDF to your inbox with your personalized plan in it. And that was kind of the very, very basic version of Runner over 4 years ago.
And it's funny because it sounds very similar to what we do today, which is, I guess, the case that it is. It's automated running coaching to some extent. But the number of things that we didn't do then that we do now is like funny. And one of those is that like we only built a 16-week marathon plan. So if you wanted to build a marathon plan for London Marathon, you needed to start 16 weeks before on the Monday, which is really annoying if it's 17 weeks out. And it's also really annoying if it's now 15 weeks out. So that was one of the probably 100 things we've done to continue to revolutionize what we do. You can now start your plan on any day of the week, and it can be any length in time towards any goal. So you can be training for a 17.5-week plan towards a 33-kilometer race that's hilly, and that we'll deliver that to you. And it starts on a Thursday, not a Monday, alongside 101 other things, of which I feel like we should whistle stop through some of those big groundbreaking innovations before we talk about some of the more exciting things that hopefully you guys listening have to look forward to coming ahead. I guess with this more primitive website PDF thing, one of the things that you needed to do was adjust people's plans.
I literally had that in my head as you were talking then. I was like, yeah, so when we first did it, so you would say you would on a 16-week marathon plan, so that'd be about $100. You would check that you'd check out on the website. 15 minutes later, it'd get emailed to you. But then if you wanted to make any changes to the plan at all, so imagine you want to move around your days per week, if you wanted to change the paces in your plan, for example, you'd have to email in to the hello@therunbuddy.co.uk email address, that would go directly to my inbox. So the way that Ben and I split it up was Ben would manage all of the Instagram DMs and I would manage all of the emails and customer support that came through there. And then basically I would then have to manually go into the database, change the days of the week that you wanted to run, change the 5K time, whatever it was, rebuild your PDF and then email it to you. And at the start, I was doing that probably once a day and it wasn't too bad. Then it became 5 times per day, then it became 10 times per day. And then finally, we're able to allow people a revolutionary feature to be able to edit their schedule inside an app at any time that they wanted to. And that was just absolutely mind-blowing at the time. But then since then, we've grown to build on a lot of other features. And also, I don't personally reply to every single email now as much as I'd like to.
And I think that that kind of customer journey has always informed what we've actually gone on to build, which is that we basically started off thinking what we would do was make an automated way for people to train for their running goal in a way to mean that everyone could have the access to the premium experience you were having for a lot of money. And we did it, and we launched this website and we thought, we've kind of done it now. But the problem is we sold it to a few people and they had a few ideas, like how about they can adjust their plan themselves? How about train for a marathon that's 15 weeks away? And we continue to have that. We have tens of thousands of messages that come in every single week through various different channels. And we're continuously adjusting what's coming next based off this feedback. And the funny thing is, we've then grown to now a team of 150 people who work very hard to build all these things. And we're no closer to having completed our list of requests. Because the more we build, the more people we reach, and now the more big ideas you guys keep sending in. But so for everything that you do want, we are always still listening and keen to keep building those things that you're after.
Yeah, and I'd say that we also just massively appreciate all of those feedback, and at the end of the day, we are just trying to build the very best running training app that we can do in the entire world for all of the people listening to this and all of our amazing runners. And it is kind of the amazing thing about building a consumer app in a way is that you do have the ability to get so much feedback, and ultimately, if you go out with that mission of really trying to build something that people really want and build the best thing for them. And ultimately, I in a way started off on this journey of building the app for me in a way, because I was getting into my running. I wanted this app that could help me, and then kind of always keep myself in mind as well when I'm thinking about the features that we want to build. And I would say that it's very much the case, as Ben was saying, where every single time, we look at basically all of the feature requests that we get from people from on Reddit, on the customer support chat that people write into, on the emails, on Instagram, etc., like that, and we basically just prioritize that and then build the number one feature that people are asking for. And we've just done that time and time again 1,000 times, and as Ben said, we still get those every single day, which is amazing.
We've got some very exciting features that we've been working on that we're going to be sharing later on, of things that we've been building with Strava. But before then, we've got, I guess, an opportunity to share some of the other things that are coming. And I've got one on my mind that I'd love to share, but please think of the ones that you want to highlight as well. And one of them is that along that way, we've also wanted to continuously make your plans adapt around you. And so one of the things we built and launched over a year ago now is the ability that we basically follow all of the workouts that you're doing. And if you run a little bit too fast from what we'd imagine based on everything that we know about you, we speed up your training. And if you're struggling to hit the paces for whatever reason, we follow that around and we automatically detect that and reduce your training. But something that we've been working very hard on is the ability for us to be able to do this around your distances as well. And so this is going to be coming soon. So stay tuned, but we will be doing a few things. We'll be detecting if you maybe miss your long run, miss the number of runs you do a week, or miss some of your weekly mileage, or also run too far. And then based on all of that, we will continuously adapt your training as a result. And it's funny because it sounds like such an obvious thing, just like having a coach on the end of your phone is an obvious thing. But it's very complicated, as you can imagine, and we are very nearly there to be able to roll that out for you. And I think it's going to be so exciting, whereby the number of people who do maybe run 2 kilometers too short on their long run, and now we're expecting you to jump up 2 weeks later to do even further, and instead we can now adjust automatically that for you. And there's a lot of other similar things in mind. Any of the ones that you've been working on that you want to shout out?
Yeah, so for me, the one I'm most excited about right now is revamping our new to running and returning to running plans. So these are people who are, whether you're kind of just getting into running or whether you're returning to running for any particular reason that you stopped. We don't charge at all for the new to running or returning to running plans, because we very much care around getting people into running, getting people, active outside. And then, after they can go and do a 5K without stopping, if they then want to go and to do one of our other plans, then they can do so. What we're doing with the new to running, so we kind of launched it, I think nearly 3 years ago now, I would say, from that perspective, and we've kind of been busy working on all of the other aspects of the plans, like we redid our maintenance plans and our race-based plans, etc. And then next up is kind of our new to running plans. So we want to make sure that we redo all of these in the new engine, so they support things like holiday mode, they support things like training preferences, and ultimately we just want to build the very, very, very best experience that we can do for someone who's fresh on their running journey or getting back into it. And we've got a whole host of features planned, basically, so stay tuned for that. But we that's just something I'm super, super excited about because of the impact it can have. And we have loads of people as well who do these plans. It's one of our biggest plans as well.
And I think the bit that's even more exciting than that is that our Couch to 5K journeys are all free.
Yeah,
and we also
massively.
Fundamentally, I think we sit in a very exciting or a very privileged and lucky position that fundamentally we enjoy running, and that helps us to be healthy. Whereas the reason why that's the case is maybe we socialized over running, we've achieved goals, we've got fast, we've learnt those endorphins, and now the challenge isn't pushing ourselves out the door to run, it's actually having enough time to go and run. And I think getting to that point in your running journey is, I think, when you've made it, once you're that's when running's this passion for life. And if we can get more people to learn to love running, which is by not just running around your block as hard as you can, realizing that your heart's jumping out your chest, and instead learning to do it in the right way, building up gradually, doing a variety of different things, realizing that you need to run slowly sometimes, and finding those endorphins, seeing progress, we can actually get more people to love running like we do and probably live happier and therefore healthier lives as well.
Yeah, agreed.
And with that in mind, we kind of will always make sure that our Couch to 5K journeys are free.
Yeah.
And I guess attached to the exciting work that we're doing on our Couch to 5K journeys, we're also doing similar work at the opposite end of the spectrum as well. We want Runna to cater for all runners wherever you are on the spectrum, and that's whether you're training for your very first 5K or your first multi-day ultramarathon. And we've got lots of exciting features and improvements coming to our ultra offering as well in due course, as well as many, many other features that you'll have to watch out for over the coming weeks, months, and years as well. But the thing I wanted you to share as well, Dom, is what it's been like actually building this business. Because not only do we hang out and work together on this funny, crazy project and start off building a website, we've had to do a lot of other things. We've had to hire now 148 other people. What's that been like? And did you ever imagine we'd be here?
Yeah, definitely not. Like the short answer is hard and no. I would say that, yeah, it's, we've been around, I think, we launched just over 4 years ago now. So it's kind of been a crazy journey. And in the first 2 years, I think we went from 2 of us to about 8 people in the team. So relatively over the course of over 2 years to go from 8 people to 150 people is incredibly, challenging journey, and figuring out how to interview and how to hire and how to do all of these kind of things. So it's been very, very tough, but at the same time, very, very enjoyable, and, learned so much. Feel like I've personally developed as a person, feel like we've made some, been able to see everyone in the team develop and progress and growing their careers and journeys and stuff like that as well. Like, that's been honestly amazing. But yeah, I would definitely say that it's been, been hard, been challenging, and there's been hard points for sure. And definitely wouldn't have imagined this 4 years ago, no.
And what do you find it, or how do you find it working with me?
Ben is a lot, I would say. He's like a guy that will move relentlessly in any direction in which he's going, and just like all in on any idea, basically, which is absolutely amazing. I think, like, firstly, I would say Ben's strengths are firstly from just like in creating ideas and generating ideas and just thinking so outside the box. And I think, you'll be in a meeting talking about something pretty normal, and Ben will be like completely turning on its head and be like, what if we did this? What if we did that? And I feel like there's so many of the things that we do now within the business, from Runna TV to Runna Podcast, etc., where, traditionally we probably wouldn't have gone down those routes, but Ben's like, what if we did this? What if we did that? And it leads to these amazing things and outcomes. And then the second thing I would probably just say is just like how all in you are on like whether it's your idea or an idea that you're convinced of. There's literally no stopping Ben once he gets onto something, or whether it's a new ambassador that we want to go sign. Ben will literally do anything to make it happen and to get them over the line, through to a new funding round. In which case, there's no amount of rejections that can kind of stop Ben at any point, and he'll just kind of keep relentlessly going and keep pushing forward. So I'd say that's kind of like the main two things that I really like working about working with you.
I think on the investment story, I have to share.
You have to share the lift one.
That's hilarious. Share the elevator lift, which I think I could see Dom's kind of heart melting inside. And I mean, this is like genuinely what would happen week in, week out, as we were in the early stage of getting this kind of like silly business off the ground that no one really believed in. And we were at a late night investor pitch thing where you kind of networking around, talking to these investors, and we desperately at the time needed some people with money to invest into the business to help us to hire the team, and ultimately take that PDF into a business that it is today. And it got to the end of the night and we hadn't spoken to like the one person on the list who was like our number one person we had to speak to. And I was kind of like, Dom, he's over there, he's getting his bag, he's about to leave. And as he did, another founder or someone else running their business kind of got just in front of us and said, oh, do you mind if I kind of catch you as you're putting on your coat? And then I kind of was like, well, I can't let him have the chance. So I was like, haha, I guess it'll be like an elevator pitch. And the guy was like, oh, I guess go on. And I was like, well, it will only be fair if we get half an elevator each.
We're in the elevator going down at this point. So yeah, he put in his...
I think we were at before we got in the elevator.
Yeah,
and it was on his coat.
And we're on the 10th floor, I think it was.
Yeah. And so I said, we'll go at floor 5. So the other guy speaks as fast as he can to tell this investor, who's obviously just tired and wants to go home and see his children or something. And as soon as we hit the 5th floor, which I'd put the 5th floor button on so it would stop and open the lifts, I went, boop, boop, boop. And I was like, my turn now. And Dom was like, this is just not how you're meant to raise money. And then I clicked 4, 3, 2, 1. So it would slow the lift down, we'd get more time, and then I chewed this man's ear off about Runna while I watched Dom sink backwards into the walls of the elevator, looking at his feet, being like, I am in business with a crazy man who's going to be put in prison one day. But
not only that, Ben, we then got out at the ground floor. Ben was still halfway through his pitch or towards the end of the pitch, and then proceeded to walk backwards. This guy was walking forwards towards the front door. It was quite a big, building through to the entrance. Ben walked backwards in front of him the entire way without breaking a single breath or pause for anything, and just kept relentlessly pitching him all the way to the revolving door until he got outside. And he was like, okay, fine, yeah, let me get your email address. Got our email address. And then we
never heard from him
never heard from him ever again.
Yeah.
So if you're out there, missed out on a good investment opportunity, I think.
Yeah, no. Yeah, thanks for not punching me in the face. If that wasn't the hardest part, putting up with me in that lift, what has been the hardest part of this 4-year roller coaster?
Yeah, I think I would definitely say it was the fundraising part. Like when we first started out, we were lucky enough to have Joshua Patterson come on board, and he invested some money in Runna that enabled us to hire a couple of people. And we then went on to raise a crowd fund where 303 investors and kind of our very early users invested in the business as well. But that kind of enabled us to get to around the 6 to 8 person mark kind of over the course of the year. But, it wasn't enough. We weren't profitable at this point. So we only had enough cash in the bank probably for about 2 years. And by, 18 months on or so, we then had 6 months left, and we had a team of 8 people, I think. We had to pay their salaries every single day, and you would look every single day and see money coming out of the bank account and as not being profitable. And I think that was kind of the really, really hard bit, because we knew that we had to raise money. We knew that we needed kind of another funding round or two in order to get the business really going, get the product like really good, and being able to scale it to the amount of kind of users and runners that we have been able to today. But when we kind of did that and went through that process, we kind of emailed about 50 VCs, so venture capitalists. So these are kind of people that invest in early stage startups, which we were at the time. And we emailed about 50 of those different companies. I think we got a few meetings, we got a few calls here and there, but then ultimately all 50 of those went on to reject us. And this isn't something where they just say no, it's not for us at the time. Like, this is something where they spend sometimes hours getting to know you deeply, getting to know your business, getting to know the product that you're building, and then after very smart people, and after looking at that whole all of the data that they have on that and the industry and the market, etc., for them to then come to a conclusion that, like, that's not a good business and that's not a good product. It's very, very difficult to pull yourself back from that and to do that time and time again when that you look at your phone and it's like another VC has rejected you, another VC's rejected you, and over time you kind of do lose a little bit of the conviction in your idea, I would say. And I guess coming back to Ben's kind of relentless pursuit of this kind of stuff, it's very easy because Ben's always like, it's fine, we'll get another one, and we kind of reached the end of that 50 list, I think, and we kind of went for lunch. We're like, what are we doing here? Are we definitely doing the right thing? Are we going to make it? We really believe in the product, we really believe in the app, and we really believe that we can help a lot of people, but if no one's going to invest money, we're not able to do this. And then I think we spent about half an hour being very sad and very kind of down in the dumps, and then picked ourselves back up again, reached out to another 50. I think we reached out to another 50 after that, and eventually we found one investor, which was Eka Ventures, who kind of invested us and backed us, and that kind of gave us the money to really, really take off. And from there, I would say that was kind of the turning point for which the business like really, really took off and started to boom.
Yeah, I guess then we reached profitability, and then more money just amplified the way that we could improve the app and help people faster. Exactly. But it wasn't like a point of staying alive thereafter.
Exactly.
And I guess with all of that, like, we've taken it to where we are now. Like, what's the one thing that you're like most excited for? Or like, what is it that you're working hard for now to make Runna better?
Yeah. So I mean, like, me and the whole of Runna, like, there's two things that excite us basically. One is building the very best product that we can do in the entire world for to help runners train and get into running, achieve their running goal. And then the second is just reaching as many runners as we possibly can do in the world. Like, there's just so many people out there who, would like to get into running, that have tried running before or tried training for something and just not been successful because they've just not had the right setup or motivation or coaching or something. And for those people, like, I would love Runna to be able to be the app that would help them. So for those people, I think we have an amazing user base of runners at the moment. But then if you think about the potential that we can have all around the world, there's 7 billion people in the world. And like, I would love to reach, tens, hundreds of millions of people and get them running on and using the app. And just ultimately, it's about being able to help them. And I think we can all agree that running is like, brought meaningful impacts to both of our lives. And I would love to be able to share that with the world in a way. And then, the second thing that really enables that is just building the very best product that we can do. And we just work time and time again and very, very hard to build all the product features that everybody's asking for. And I still find it painful in a way to look back through the feature request log, and I'll see thousands of features in there that people are wanting, from landscape mode on their iPad for when they're using their iPad with their treadmill, to a better way of sharing their run or sharing that they've completed their plan. And like, all of these things, like, we just want to build them as soon as we can do, but unfortunately building these things is quite complicated and does take some time, but we just want to build them as quickly as we can do and as well as we can.
Nice, and that's what we're going to be working very hard to do. We're going to segue over to Steph for our coaching tip of the week, and then we'll come back with our very exciting special guest for the second half.
My top tip today is to make sure your easy runs are truly easy. Easy runs are also called recovery runs, and these are the biggest proportion of your training plan. They aid recovery, build your endurance, and will prepare you for those harder, faster sessions. Can you hold a conversation whilst you're running? Then your easy pace is spot on.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by the Runna app, the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. If you want to try the app today, use code podcast25 for 2 weeks totally for free. And please do remember to rate, follow, and subscribe to us on your listening platform to help us climb the rankings and so that we can keep bringing you the most interesting and amazing guests. Thank you very much for that, Steph. We are back, and we have another person in the room, which is the very exciting Mike, the CEO of Strava. So welcome.
Thank you.
And I would love you to tell everyone listening what made you you before you joined Strava 18 months ago.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Excited to be here. A little bit intimidated, but happy to be here. Before I joined Strava, actually similar to the two of you, I was a co-founder of a startup straight out of school. And following that, I worked in consumer internet technology for Disney and Nike, and most recently at Google and YouTube. But the opportunity to join Strava and spend my entire day working on helping the world become a more active and healthy place was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
Amazing. And the thing that everyone is going to want to know is, what's your go-to sport on Strava?
Well, we're about halfway through the year, so we're going to be doing a mid-year year in sport update for the world. But personally, when I'm looking at my activities right now, because I was curious how it was panning out, because I like a number of different sports. Running is number one, which it was for me last year as well. Cycling is number two. Walking, specifically walking my dog, is number three, and then swimming is following that. Although I'm looking forward to boosting up my percentage of skiing as we get into the winter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, and I would have liked if I had done a lot more surfing than I did so far this year, which is almost non-existent.
Well, coming up next year, we'll obviously have surfing plans. No. Although we did launch for April Fool's Day about 3 years ago, the Dog Buddy for dog training plans. So we maybe have to revisit that, not at April Fool's Day, to help you with those long walks.
I consider my dog as my second most consistent running coach after you, Ben.
So, very kind, Mike. And we would love to know where you first came across Runna, and maybe where you or your wife first started training with us, that maybe got you excited to think about how Runna and Strava could work more closely together.
Well, so it's kind of like two separate stories in that first came across Runna. So my wife is also a runner. She actually does more races than I do. She's more committed to that and arguably more effective at that too. Actually, she would not argue with that. She had already come across Runna as a training tool to help her prepare for races. So she brought it to me, as I think a lot of your users, especially your early users, did. I really came to know Runna when the two of you came to Camp Strava and basically tracked me down.
Well, I think, Dom, that tees you up to one of the, I think, Dom is a genius, as I get to see every day. But Dom, how did you put us in front of Mike for the first time?
Yeah, so this is a funny story. So when we, when we first kind of saw that Mike had joined Strava as their new CEO, we're like, we have to get in front of him. We have to tell him all about Runna because, we've been building this product for the past kind of 3.5 years. We're like so excited to get it out there, but ultimately, Strava is the ultimate place that we would love to, end up as the home for Runna. And I think we've always been, Ben and I have been massive Strava fans for a long, long time. Both of us have been long-term Strava subscribers. We share every single run there, and I think a lot of our runners do as well. So we somehow got invited to Camp Strava, which is kind of amazing kind of conference that Strava put on in August 2024, inviting a bunch of their kind of top athletes as well as their top kind of developer partners. So I was like, we need to get in front of Mike. We're going to try every possible way that we can do this. So I basically went on my emails and I emailed. So Mike's surname is Martin, so I emailed basically every version of kind of Mike Martin at Strava.com, Mike2 at Strava, Mike Martin2 at Strava.com. So emailed all of these different variants, and I emailed probably about 12 of them, and then eventually somehow didn't get Mike's actual
ironically none of them down to me.
Ironically, none of them were your actual email address, but it did get through to Michael Horvath, who's the kind of one of the co-founders of Strava. And he replied to me saying, hey, Mike Martin's actually taken over on the CEO. This is his email address if you want to reach out to him directly. So I emailed Mike Martin and then said, hey, Michael Horvath has put us in touch. We should speak. And then somehow that, managed to get us an invite so that we, were able to connect there. And kind of even beyond that, when we went, it was kind of me, Ben, and Josh, our COO. I think we were literally, we did not sleep the entire time. We were first there in breakfast every single morning. We were the last ones to go to sleep. We networked. We knew every single person at that conference. We knew all the entire Strava leadership team so that, I'd be stood next to Maskell, who's the Strava chief people officer, I remember I was like, knew who she was. Then we were on the run and the hike, and then I was like, oh, fancy seeing you here. Let me tell you all about Runna. And I think Ben and I did this relentlessly to the point that I think the entire Strava team were like, who are these annoying Runna guys? Why do they keep coming up to us? Why do they keep wanting to chat to us? But then, somehow 6 months later, we made it work.
We did.
I think attached to that, there was a morning where there was a hike and a ride at the same time. And I went on the ride and Dom went on the run with a view that one of us would get to talk to you, Mike. And I remember pulling up in the car park and seeing you on the ride next to me. And I was like, we will be cycling together.
And we were.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of us from the other side?
Well, so it's funny because, not knowing at the time the email approach that you took, I really love Michael Horvath decided, suggested that we talk to ourselves. Is the right British witticism like cheeky? Is that the right term for that? Okay. But it was hilarious because, I was only a couple months into Strava at that point. We were going to use Camp Strava as a key moment to kind of communicate the new strategy, talk about how important it was to build for women, all kinds of new things. And I had a big keynote that I was prepping for that I was frankly a little bit nervous about. The social media team had just taped me doing that dark mode video, which terrified me. I refused to look at that beforehand. I didn't see it until it got posted. So I was kind of, I was pretty stressed, and my team kept telling me, they're like, have you spoken to Dom and Ben yet from Runna? And I'm like, no, I haven't spoken to them yet. And they're like, they really want to talk to you. And it was one of those like classic, I'm just going to say stalker moments where I was talking. I don't remember exactly who I was talking to, but I was talking to one of them and I saw their eyes get wide and I said, they're standing behind me right now. And you both were standing literally behind me. And that's the first time I actually met you.
I don't even know how to reply to that, but it's a fair and accurate representation of what we were trying to achieve.
Well, I guess it worked. It was quite funny, really, because we had it the other way around, that we'd go back to our shared bedroom where I would have to look at Dom every night with his blindfold on and his earplugs in and his snoring. But just before the snoring would kick in, we'd look at each other and we'd be like, we've just got to work together. It just makes so much sense. And then 6 months later. Yeah.
You were right. I mean, you were totally right. I mean, I started to use the product. I've now trained, I think I've done 5 different training plans at this point. Not all race, but almost all of those race training plans. As I got to know the product and how incredible it was, and this is, having worked at Nike and worked on, products from in the space before, it was just so far ahead of everything else in the space, both from a running training, but also from a coaching standpoint, and then with the strength training and the mobility and the other capabilities there. It was head and shoulders above the rest. And as I got to know the Strava business, and especially the Strava community and users and what they were looking for, it just made so much sense. And I'm just so excited not only to now be working with you, you now know my email address, so that's there's no awkwardness about that. But it's had such an incredible impact on the users. It's just great to see both of them together.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, I think that's the thing that we've always started out doing, which is 2 things. One of which is build this great app that helps people, and then the second is put it in front of more people. And we can go on to talk about some really exciting features, but we can basically do those 2 things faster. Strava's got more active people on it than anywhere else in the world, so we can help more people train for their goals. And Strava's got some fantastic technology that is going to help us help those people faster, which is ultimately why it's just so exciting for us to now get to work closer together. And talking of that, we wanted to share 2 very exciting things that hopefully, if all hasn't gone wrong, have come out. But some very exciting things we've been working on. Mike, do you want to kick us off on one of those things we've been working on together?
Yeah, I mean, my hope in bringing the 2 companies together to build on Ben's point is you have the largest collection of runners in the world on Strava. There was more than 1 billion runs recorded in 2024 alone, and the number's even larger this year. To be able to give them access to the best coaching and training in the world for runners is just a game changer. But it's also amazing because the companies, both from a mission and passion and spirit standpoint, are so similar that collectively, we can do even more for those users. And one of the things I'm very excited about is both products are distributed pretty broadly, but candidly, like Runna, as an early stage startup, was just available in English. And as a older, more global product, Strava has sophisticated capabilities to be able to take a really expert team, but then also AI to go and localize the app and make it available to more people in more languages. So we're really thrilled, fingers crossed, to have already announced and already released Runna in 7 new languages. And as somebody who spent a lot of time as I was trying to go deep with the Strava users, traveling to a lot of, actually almost every market that you are now localized in, I think it's going to be so successful and so helpful for users in those markets to be able to get that coaching and training in their language and become the runners that they've always wanted to be.
Absolutely. And it's already the case that we've seen a meaningful proportion of people in these other languages training with Runna likely as their second language.
Yeah.
And so to be able to help them much better and then to reach the rest of them who don't have English in their wheelhouse is just so exciting, and ultimately means we can further the mission that we always started on doing, which is just get more people to love running and be healthy, happy people like we get to be as well.
Totally.
Dom, the other very exciting thing that we've been working on together, that we also hopefully have just announced. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, sure. So what Ben is referring to is our new race discovery product that we've launched. So we kind of, as we talked about on before, we really just try and build what our users are asking for and what people are messaging in all the time. And the kind of question that we got time and time again was, what race should I go and do next? And whether that's people who'd kind of finished their race, they'd just gone and done their first ever 10K, half marathon, and they wanted another challenge, through to they were already on a plan and they wanted like a B race, so a kind of race in between to kind of test their fitness and get fitter, through to they wanted to go and do their first ever 5K, but they wanted to go and do that at a proper event where they could go and get a medal and get timed, etc. So we get this question all the time, and all the other kind of solutions out there are, they have some coverage of races, but not all of them, or they're sometimes quite difficult to use and, find the race that you want to. So we're like, I feel like this is the we're the people to do that. So nearly a year ago, we started working on race discovery, and then we hopefully will have launched that a week ago. So that basically enables any runner to come in, and you can search for races all over the world. So we've got thousands and thousands of races all over the world on there. And we've got one of the highest quality kind of databases. So what that means is that for all of our races, we have things like weather. We have so you can filter by the particular temperature that you want, or you can filter by flat races or hilly races or trail races or dog friendly races. And we have this really, really big database of all of those races with all of the information. So you can come on, find the exact race that you want to, and then all of those races, you can click into it, go and book it if you want to. And we kind of link off to whoever it is to book that, and then you can kind of click in and then train with the runner if you want to as well. So super, super exciting. And this is something that we're going to be investing in a lot, like alongside working with Strava on this as well. So all of the races, over time we'll have Strava routes associated with them as well. But over time, we're going to build this into the world's biggest database of races, and hopefully just build an amazing product. And any feedback or any feature requests people have on that, please send them in, because as we mentioned, we just want to build this product that we can do for runners.
I think coupling that as hopefully a really amazing idea and something that will be so valuable for our runners and also for Strava customers into the future, as we couple that with, we can see the proportion of beginner runners that train for a particular 5K or a particular race that's really female friendly. We'll be able to help people find the best races in the world for them that's at the perfect point in their training. And ultimately, as we've said, with everything that we're all three of us and all 650 people in the Strava group work tirelessly at all day, every day, is just to make the world a happier and healthier place for runners and for people who do all sports beyond that as well.
Yeah.
We'll be working very hard tirelessly to keep doing that for all of you out there. But as we always do on the podcast, we need a slightly sillier chunk as well. So apologies.
Oh, sorry, I've got to go now.
Yeah, apologies in advance,
late?
Mike. Your diary is being wiped. No one is coming in to save you. You need to answer these questions.
Okay.
So you both need to answer. Would you rather never receive kudos ever again, or have a runner plan of intervals every day?
For me, that's a pretty straightforward one. I would do the everyday interval plan. I am motivated at the end of the day by kudos. That's the thing that gets me out there, especially in the morning. So I could not have that dry out.
Mike, this could be arranged.
Careful what you wish for.
What about you, Dom?
Well, so a funny tangential story actually is so Ben and I about 2 years ago we actually got tattoos of the Runner logo on our bodies. So I have mine on my arm and Ben has his on his chest. And then when we got acquired by Strava in April, we went out to San Francisco to meet all of their team and kind of say hi to everyone. And then Ben and I kind of thought it'd be funny to get kudos tattoos on our feet, and basically they're on opposite feet so that Ben and I can kind of slap our ankles together and then give each other kudos. So I am kind of set for the kudos thing, given it's permanently tattooed on me. So I think I would choose that for a variety of runs in exchange.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, there's similarly, I can cut off your new kudos, but I can't take the old ones. Kudos are forever. So
Yeah.
those
If you never receive kudos again, we'll have to remove your foot,
Oh,
which
no.
will make the intervals every day really inconvenient.
Yeah, that'd be so hard.
Okay, right. Next one. Imagine you're a very hardworking CEO doing a long day, 14-hour day, starting at 6 a.m., finishing at 8 p.m. Hopefully, this is a rarity. Very hardworking day. Would you rather?
I think yesterday was longer than that one. But yeah, but go ahead.
For context, Mike flew overnight and then had a very long day that then finished with dinner with me.
Which was wonderful.
Which was probably making the day much longer. Anyway, you've got this long day. Would you rather do your 20-mile runner training long run beforehand and then tuck into your day's work, or afterwards?
Oh yeah, for me this is no doubt. I'd prefer to do it beforehand. I find it so much easier to not only motivate myself but to get more out of my workouts in the morning. I don't know what it is. The afternoon and the evening especially, I just do not. It's just so much harder for me. It's actually interesting on a 20-mile one. I did my 20-mile long run for the Paris Marathon Poitou last year while I was on a business trip. And I did it early in the morning before all of the meetings in exactly the way that you're outlining it.
Well, I think
it was a crusher of a run. I don't know if it was a good idea, but yeah, that's what I did.
I'll let Ben.
Kudos.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I think I could answer with 100% confidence what you're going to say, Dom.
Well, I would, the night before, I think I would lay out all my running stuff, set my alarm for, if it's 20 miles, probably, 3 hours. So I'd set my alarm for 3 a.m. And then the night beforehand. And then halfway through the night, realize that that's not actually possible. Wake up at 5:55 a.m. and then do it at 8 p.m. after work, I would say.
Yeah, there is zero chance that Dom would be doing that before work.
I'm not a morning person.
No, I've had to share a room with Dom more times than I would like.
Yeah.
And Dom will never be awake 1 minute earlier than he needs. And then he will also do a longer morning routine than you could ever imagine. But if he had to do that before his long run, before his long day, he may as well not go to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, our final one. Would you rather run a hot Rio marathon in snow boots or a rainy Scotland marathon in flip-flops?
Okay, I have a embarrassing admission on this one. I kind of can't make flip-flops work. Like there's so you know when you are walking in flip-flops and they're always flopping up to your feet? I can't get that to stop. I sound like a horse walking around.
I thought you were going to say that you had webbed feet or something.
No. So I think I would have to do it in the snow boots in Rio de Janeiro.
Wow. You Dom?
I quite like flip-flops, so I'd probably pick that.
The flip-flops in rain.
Yeah, I'd
Scotland.
put yeah.
Although I think
in the UK, you know.
I actually think you underestimate how hard flip-flops are when they're wet,
Yeah.
because then they would
Yeah.
be slippy.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe some custom molded ones, some
Okay.
verging on Crocs, but still defined as flip-flops, you know.
Okay. No, so flip-flops with a speed mode at the back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, at this point you've just
They're basically sandals.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
running sandals.
Fantastic. Well, our final question that we like to ask everyone who comes on the Runner Podcast is to design your dream race. So for this, we want you to tell us what the distance is and what the sport is, if it's not running. Where in the world is it? What the food and drink is at the finish line, and who gives out the award.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, as I mentioned, I love to run with my dog, and the dog, Leica, loves to run on the beach. She's older though, so it would have to be a shorter distance. So like definitely like 5-10K she could do without a problem. So let's say a 5K on the beach with Leica. She's gonna want a biscuit at some point at the end. So I'd want that to be there for her.
You could have a like an aid station that does dog bowls, biscuits on one side, and like human drinks and gels on the other.
That's an interesting idea. I don't think she would leave the first aid station. It'd be kind of a counter incentive for her. But for myself, assuming this was like a morning run, like a breakfast burrito, it's very like Californian thing at the end of the race. Maybe a beer, and then sounds like the end of Star Wars. But can she give me the medal?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You remember like Chewbacca? Never. Okay. Never mind.
Well, that sounds fantastic.
Okay.
And it's more like a fun run.
Yeah.
What
Well,
about
no, I mean she's competitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she giving you forward propulsion?
It depends. Like she's a mutt, but she's like a working dog, so like a shepherd dog. So I've trained her to run. Like her job is to shepherd me on the run. But I've also trained her with other fun terms. So like if I say turbo, she'll sprint off at that point as fast as she can. And she at full clip, she is a like 6-minute mile dog, so she can get moving.
Wow,
That is insane.
That's almost. I'm gonna have to flag your Strava updates. If I see turbo, I'll
I'll
flag that segment.
Okay. She's older now though, so her average pace is much slower than that, but she can still sprint.
Wow, that is clever training. Yeah. I would love a dog one day, and I'm gonna have to learn how to do turbo. Dom, what's your dream race?
My dream race, I think I would. So in London, where kind of Runner's HQ is, Battersea Park, which is one of these parks in the middle. It's kind of completely flat. It's got this really big, wide open roads that are close to cars, and I just love running laps and loops around that, whether it's an interval session or a long run. So I think, and I've done probably about 4 or 5 races around there. I've done 5Ks around there. I've done half marathons around there. And like no matter how many laps it is at Battersea Park, so it's around 2.5 kilometers round. So if you're doing 5K, it's 2 laps. If you're doing a half marathon, it's 8 laps. And no matter how many laps I'm doing, I just like absolutely love it. So I think I would choose half marathon, running obviously Battersea Park. I think afterwards, love a packet of crisps after a run. Replenish
What's
the salts.
the flavour?
Just ready salted is honestly great.
No,
yeah,
really?
it's
That
so
is-
good for replenishing the salts.
that is criminal.
So nice. I'd pick that, and then Coach Ben give him my medal.
No.
Yeah, full circle moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we could do that.
Nice.
We could do that this evening at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
At 8 p.m. when you finish
yeah,
this
when I
evening,
finish
yeah.
work, yeah.
Wow. Well, there we are. Well, honestly, thank you both for being the best colleagues I could ever ask for, the 2 smartest people I've ever met, and I get to learn so much from you every day, and I'm so excited to hopefully keep making Runna and Strava better products and businesses and help more people live happy, healthy lives.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on. This is fun. I'll never do it again, but this was great.
Yeah, so please like, subscribe, and comment if you'd like Mike to come back on the Runna Podcast.